I'm live. I didn't realize. So much to talk about, and as soon as I turn the camera on, my mind goes blank. But hello, everyone. Thank you for subscribing to this channel. And I want to talk about dimensions, the new earth, these things that many of us are hearing about and wondering, what dimension am I in? Am I on the new earth timeline? And I just want to say that for me, it seems to be, if I'm following the path of love, that's all that really matters. If I am able to get myself into the frequency of love and compassion, um, some days we don't feel so great. I find like some days are very emotional and crying for no reason, in brief moments, not all day, but these kind of things come up. I think it comes up for a lot of people. And that doesn't mean that we're not in a frequency of love. And if you become afraid about where you might be at, then you might be bringing your energy down. Um, so it's about intention as well, intending to be a person who loves and can feel compassion for others and for ourselves. And it always comes down to loving ourselves primarily. Once we love ourselves, we're open to the expansive energies that are available to us all the time, energies of creativity and joyful mirth. And so I'm hearing some people saying, well, what if I don't feel joyful or I'm not feeling mirthful? Um, these aren't states that we're in constantly all the time. The amazing wonder of being a human being has to do with the range of feelings that that we run through our energy on a daily basis. So don't expect to be happy and joyful and mirthful all the time. But it's like a gentle river flowing within where we love and accept ourselves. And then the self-criticism comes up, or our mind may start bringing up things that we regret, or memories of things we did and said from years ago that we wish we hadn't done and said. And when that comes up, I usually remember to say to myself, I forgive myself for my foolishness of those times. That's all we can do. I forgive myself for the foolishness that I was expressing in those at that time. And bring myself back into my heart. And it's a matter of catching those moments. In years ago, it would be I could live a whole day or a week in a state of regret and self-recrimination and self-criticism. And now, if that comes up for a moment, I just say, I forgive myself for whatever it was that I did or said, and bring myself back into the present moment. There's also a feeling of this pervasive feeling that we're not doing enough. We have such a a strong, they call it a work ethic, to be accomplishing and doing all the time, so that there could be a feeling of guilt for just sitting in a chair and reading a book for an hour or so, because I didn't account for myself. I didn't accomplish something. And there's always a list of things to do that never ends. And so I feel in this so-called New Earth timeline, it's about being present. And sometimes I feel like I'm floating through my day, almost like I'm in a dream. And other times I feel such a deep connection to the nature around me. And I really am aware of myself as an organic being, an organism with many organic organisms inside. And my spirit is, I point to my head, my spirit, maybe it's in my heart, it's all throughout my being. My spirit, or my soul essence, is expressing awareness in this physical body that is floating and existing in this physical earth, in the air, surrounded by nature. Or even if one is in a city, you're still surrounded by organic beingness of other people and trees and the air you're breathing. And so at times there's just this profound realization of this connectedness. And then that expands into the connectedness amongst ourselves and other human beings. And I see that in an inner vision as like a network of cells or lines that connect outward to other conscious beings, and how within this kind of network we're all connected to one another. And I've written about this for years and talked about it, and lately I feel like I'm experiencing it in a much more organic way, this level of connection. And there's just a profound beauty in that, and there's nothing to do about it. So if you're concerned about whether you're in the New Earth timeline, or whatever dimension you think you should be at, like we're supposed to be in the fifth dimension or something, it doesn't really matter. Are you able to love? Are you able to feel love? Are you able to have compassion for others? Do you intend to live a loving life? And if so, start here. Start with loving yourself, and all else follows. In the world we're in, the upward, like um, like patriarchal energies are coming apart. And that's why we're seeing a clamping down of restrictions, especially towards women's women's bodies' freedom. But that's temporary, because the center of that cannot hold it. I just heard the center cannot hold. It's falling apart from within. There is an organic change and shift happening that also has to do with higher frequencies that are on our planet, that are it's hard to talk about, and sometimes I feel like I barely know what I'm talking about, but that's okay. It's coming through um, in light codes. It's like a deep understanding that is beyond words. But when I find the words, it's the divine feminine energy that has been very long denied and manipulated here that is becoming stronger and stronger on this planet. And so the what once was that is coming apart is filled with a lot of fear and anger. And there are people who channel that energy of fear and anger and paranoia. And then there are those of us who are channeling love. It's more of a gentleness, or it may come out in a very powerful way. And because there's a fierceness to this love, and there's a fierceness to the divine feminine that is it's unstoppable. And so take heart. There are many changes. There's a lot of chaos. There's like a swirling around and a lot of activity in that way of swirling and like ideologies bumping up against each other. And this is what we're in right now. But we're in our physical bodies, our physical organic bodies on this organic earth. And we are holding the energy of love. So that's all you really need to do is love yourself, and being in a state of love, then you radiate it outward, and you don't even have to try. You don't have to try to get to the new earth timeline. It's an intention. It's an intention of love. So beautiful and simple. And many of us have furry beings that help us um, to show us love. And feathered beings as well. Here comes another furry being behind me. So I guess that's my message that's coming through today, is everything's okay. I mean, there's a lot that's very upsetting and very not okay, so I'm not like trying to do a bypass on all of that, but deep inside, know that you're here in this time for the purpose of holding and amplifying the frequency of love, and you have to start with yourself. That's where we have to begin, because many of us have been taught that we're not good enough, and we're not doing enough, and we're not accomplishing enough. And that's just not true. We're often so hard on ourselves. So lighten up on yourself. Find appreciation. Give yourself a gift of love. Whether it be an hour just sitting and reading a good book, or ice cream, or whatever. There's a bug here. Give yourself a gift and practice loving yourself. And know that there are guides, helpers, the unseen beings who are with you. Whether you realize it or not, it's often a very subtle relationship with our guides. And many times they give us a message that we miss because it's so subtle. So practice loving yourselves and forgiving yourselves as we move through these challenging and often painful times. Oh, and one more thing, when we're in that practice of love, we can also send that frequency of love to beings that we know who are having a difficult time. We're sending it into situations that are very painful and frightening that people are going through. Just beaming love out to the pockets of where people are having challenges, conflict, and even looking at whatever conflicts we have in our own life. Beaming love into those moments or to the people we're having difficulties with, if that's something that's going on. But when we practice sending love into the places like Ukraine, it really reaches the people who need it. And it helps us to ground into a more purposeful state of beingness here by simply offering the energy of love. So I hope you find this helpful, and sending much love to all of you. Shine on.